I can try if you let me. With our lives I am bleeding. Who am I without stories that aren't mine? What I did to achieve you gave me air, thought I had to. I'm untrue, it's not pretty, the truth hurts. And you stayed on the ground while I was high. Yes, you've been here before, you closed the door. Now I don't know what to say, I expect you to leave. I deserve to be unheard, but I want you to see that you are the reason why I try. I don't know what you're thinking, but I know how you're feeling. I have crushed and burned someone before, and now I'm afraid of the person I'm pretending to be. But I'm more afraid to tell you I'm less than you see. And I know when I let go right now, I'm gonna turn you against me.
Well, g'day everyone. Today I wanted to talk to you about a great little gimbal that I took away with me on my trip around the USA. As the people that follow me would know, I wanted to travel light, so I wanted to take a smaller gimbal. Now, I do have a love affair with gimbals. I've got lots of them, but this time, as I had baggage limits and they were quite strict in the amount of gear that I could take overseas, I decided to try and take a smaller gimbal. So I contacted FeiyuTech and asked if they could send me the G6Max. Because it's smaller, it's perfect for something like an A6-400 and a small lens like the 10 to 18mm lens. But you can also use it with things like phones and action, your little action cameras like the Osmo Action and things like that. Now, I didn't have time to test it in that regard with the phone or the action cam, but I certainly did give it a really good workout with the A6-400, and it really excelled. There were some areas where there is a little bit of a compromise to be taken, and I'll discuss that when I sum up a little bit later. But overall, to be able to travel with such a light little bit of gear, the fact that I didn't have to lug around huge gimbals that were heavy and things like that, as compared to what I normally do when I'm doing weddings or local shoots and things like that. So I'll show you through the thing. So this is the actual unit. So this is the box that it comes in, which is the G6. Now this is called the G6Max. There is also a G6 model if you only want to use it with action cams and things like that. But this is that, and I thought I'd just show you what's in the box so you can see what's in it. So this is the little case that it comes in. Quite a nice little foam case, so it's quite small if you do want to travel with it this way. And inside the unit, it's very well packaged. So this is how it looks. So you have the gimbal, you have your mounting plate. In here, there's just your stands that you've got. And also there's some things inside here that I'll show you in a second, which is the mounting plate for if you're using your action camera or if you're using your mobile phone and things like that, or even connecting it to your camera with cables. I found that I connected this wirelessly and it worked very, very well using the FeiyuTech app. So I'll take it out and I'll show you how it all looks when it's sort of set up. So I'll take out the stand first. Stand's really nice. It's only plastic, little small unit. Let me take out the gimbal. The gimbal itself is really nice because this is the size. I mean, if you compare it, say, to this monster that I've got here, this is the other FeiyuTech gimbal that I love, which is the AK2000S. This will take your bigger cameras like your A7 III, A9, A7R4, etc. with a much bigger lens, like some of the G Master lenses, like the G Master 24. Tamron lenses work fantastic on this, like your 28 to 75, etc. But I didn't want to go with this heavier gimbal, so you can see the difference. This really is tiny compared to, say, using that. Nice stand. What I loved about it too is that it does have the complete lock. So if you leave everything off when you're walking, everything flops around, and that is a real problem when you're walking around with, say, a camera attached to it. But this has 3 locks on this, which if you lock down, it will then not move. And what I love about this is that then when your camera's on this, it will no longer move around at all. You can see now that everything is completely locked down. So if you're traveling around and you have your camera on this, and that's how I worked, I just put my camera on, locked it in place, and then I could just sort of put it into my bag in the front pocket and move around. I wasn't worried about it moving all over the place. A very simple interface. There's just a wheel here that you can set to multiple different things, and I'll show this on the website in a minute. There's a great little display also that's on this, and really there's only a couple of little controls, one for recording and one to change your mode and things, power it up, and then you've got a little USB, which is USB-C adapter through here that you charge up with as well. You can also switch from video like to stills and stuff like that as well with this whole little unit. It's really nice. It's all made of metal, so it's very, very well made. The handle down here I think is plastic, but all this part up the top up here is all metal, and I just love the way it works. Very, very easy to balance. Let me unbox this as well. So the little cable, this little bit up here is your plate that will simply just mount into the top up there. So that's how that works. And then you get a USB-C cable that you can charge the device up, etc. Now inside this little box here, that's your little phone adapter. So that's how you'll use that. And that will take your iPhones and other compatible phones as well. There's a whole stack of different leads in here as well, depending on what sort of camera you use. And you can read the manual about that. It tells you type C to micro. There's all different leads that you can use. Like I said, I found it worked fine just connecting it through the Wi-Fi. This is your little adapter for putting on your action camera as well. So you've got that too if you want to go that way. So it's a great little setup. Like I said, I never used it with the action cam, but I'll show in a minute through the website what that looks like. So you can see how that works. You also get obviously a little documentation kit with things like your warranty card. There's your quick start guide and things like that as well. Let me now just show you the website because I can show you the gimbal being used and also how it's set up with different devices. Okay, so let's go through the website and I can show you some detail about this gimbal. It's a really nice small gimbal. You can see with the girl holding it and also that gentleman there, it's very, very small, very easy to use in one hand, so you don't have to hold two hands when you're using this, and it's really quite nice to use. This is how it works. If you're looking at it, it will take a very small camera like an RX camera. It would take, say, an A6400, A6600 if you're looking at that. That's with the iPhone attachment on there as well, so you can see how that works, and with your action cam as well. I haven't tried any of these three combinations. Due to the lockdown, it's been very, very hard to test, but I did take it away with me when I went to the USA with my A6400 with a 10-18 on it, and you'll see that footage a little bit later when I play the footage for you. And that worked very, very well, and it was very nicely balanced on the gimbal. I could hold it easily with one hand, which was great. You can sort of get an example here if you can see how he's holding it with one hand. It has your typical selfie mode just by clicking on your buttons and it will face back towards you. There's multiple modes that you can use with this as well. Balancing this is really nice. It has this quick release system which you can just unscrew and take it off and then plug it back in again, which makes the balancing fairly easy. It's not, it doesn't hold the balance though as well as say the AK2000 does, in the fact of when you pull it out there is a little bit of rebalancing once you put it back in, so you've got to be aware of that. But I didn't take it off. I actually left the A6400 on it the whole time because I was using my other cameras to do the stills. I kept the camera on the whole time, so it was wonderful. The locking mechanism is really nice because it means once you lock it in, the camera then won't move around, so it works really good in that regard. And the controls, like I said, are very, very easy. You have this nice multi-function ring that you can program with different things. It was great for setting up your horizon, things like that. If you wanted to say pan, zoom, other things, you can set it up for multiple things. It says here that it supports control of zoom, focus, 3-axis rotation adjustments, and parameters such as ISO, white balance, and exposure values if your camera is supported. So that's the one thing you do have to be aware of. I couldn't, for some reason, I'm not sure whether it was the firmware version that I had, but I couldn't get the ISO and white balance and all those other features to work with my A6400, but it may work with other cameras, but I couldn't test that. The LCD is really nice and bright though, and it's really easy to use, and it's a little touch LCD screen, which is really nice. It can also do things like you can do time-lapse, motion time-lapse, things like that as well. It's great. You can set your motor settings through this and everything. You can also do it through the app as well. There is multiple shooting modes if you're looking at this as well. You can do your typical moves that you can do with your normal gimbals. I'm not going to go through that with you, but it does come with 9 functional modes. So it meets, like it says, any professional videography mode, you know, your pan, tilts, etc. that you can do with it. And the motor is very strong, like your inverted mode works well. And overall, it's really good. The handle is really nice to hold on to. I found it's got that nice rubber grip to it. The handle is plastic, but the rest of it, like I said, is metal. And it seems to be a really good travel gimbal. You can see here it's got splash-proof design as well, so you can take it out in showers and things like that, so the water won't hurt it. I mean, I wouldn't dip it in say, a lake or something, but if you're dealing with showers, things like that, it will hold up very, very well indeed. And you can see that with the action cam, so that'd fit perfectly with that. It does also have Wi-Fi control and cable control for more choices. That may be the difference. Perhaps if I connected it with a cable, I might have been able to get the ISO and things like that working. I'll have to look at that in more detail. I was only using the Wi-Fi mode, and like I said, I couldn't get the ISO and shutter and those features to work. The battery life, it lasted all day. I mean, it did last a long, long time once you charged it up. And you can use reverse charging if you have a cable connected to your camera. It will charge your camera up as well. Like I said, I used this through my whole trip. I was surprised how stable it is considering how tiny the gimbal is. The motors are actually quite strong on it, which was good. I mean, there are compromises. I mean, look, you would not use this with, say, an A7 series camera with a decent sized lens on it. The motors just wouldn't take it. So the stabilization is never ever going to be as good as, say, using something like the FeiyuTech 8K 2000S. But there's a big difference in price as well. So there are always compromises that you have to make when you're using smaller gimbals. Like I said, I'll still test this in the coming weeks. Once I can get outside again with, say, an action camera and the iPhone, because I'd love to try that as well to see how it works. Apart from that, though, I'm really happy with how the footage came out, and it was really fun to take away something that was so minimal as against taking away some really large type gimbals, which can be very heavy, and by the end of the day, you're very tired. I wasn't tired carrying this around at all. If you have any comments about it, please leave it down below and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thank you so much for FeiyuTech for sending this to me. As always, I'm honest about when things are sent to me and I haven't paid for them. Apart from that, guys, I'll see you all in the next video. Bye for now.